This ought to be a good one. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Captain.
As you all know, or should know, I'm Roger Fuller, still the captain of the Tri-State Naval Ship. I want to welcome everybody here this afternoon. Thank God it's not tomorrow. We got the good weather today. Just want to congratulate all the winners and the contestants that get involved in this contest. It's very important to us and the community, all the things that we do down here, and this is one of our top ones that we keep going. And without you joining it and doing it with the teachers and everybody pushing it, we're not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to bore you with all the things about the VFW and how hurting we are and everything. We still are. We still need members, but we also need the youth. Without the youth, we're not going to have the VFW. You have to keep going. You have to keep us in the loop. And we try to do the same to you. We try to involve you in a lot of our stuff to keep you, to let people know what we do, which is not easy to do. I'd like to just mention a few people. Honorable Mayor Kelly Decker, if you'd like to say a few words.
These are one of those few days that I have to turn my hat. So, being the mayor, I want to welcome you all here on this auspicious day. It is great to see each and every one of you here. We have some of our council people here. Our 4th Ward Councilman Stan Siegel is here. Our 2nd Ward Councilman George Belcher is here. We have our new judge James Henry here. Judge Emeritus is Vicki Campbell is here. And our town of Deer Park Town Clerk, Flo Santini, is also here. We're here to join you on a special day that you're here to talk about veterans and what veterans mean to you and what America means to you. And America means a lot to us, means a lot to me, and the people that I just introduced, because back when our founding fathers put this country together, they looked at it and said, listen, we need to set up a system where there's not one person in charge, that there are many people that can look at it at every different angle and say, everybody needs to be treated fairly. And that's what we have here today. We have a judicial, we have a legislative, we have an executive branch right here in the room. And that works for all of us. And I've read some of the speeches that are out there, turning my hat to the teacher side, and you have done a fantastic job, especially the kids that are here today. Thank you.
I wish you would have kept going on the teachers too on that introduction. You made my job a lot easier. But I would like to thank the teachers also. We have Elke O'Connell, Trish Almond. We have the principal of the high school, Mr. Murata. We have the superintendent of instruction, Cindy Benedict. Anthony Lazaro, the vice principal of the middle school. Thank you for all you do for our kids. Now I'd like to have the opening prayer by my executive officer, Fab Morjan. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us this day to share as a community, to highlight the talents and the ever-budding wisdom that you've ingrained in our students here in Port Jervis and the surrounding community, and also to recognize the teachers, the administrators, and more importantly, the families that have uplifted these kids growing into young adults who will speak and be the future of this nation, for better, for worse, but hopefully for the better, and continue to instill in them pride, faith, and a sense of community. Amen.
I just hired a new chaplain. Now I'd like to have Pudge, president of the auxiliary, start the pledge. Please stand, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
now I'd like to call up John Pagano for the introduction of the VOD winners.
This year we had 22 entries. It used to be 6 or 8. The naval ship is used to doing all the work, but in this case, Mr. Murata took the lead a few years ago after attending a VOD dinner here and observed the small participation. Since his leadership, we've had over 20 participants every year. Also, a special thanks goes to Mr. Canigliaro for his time and effort in assisting the students for participating. And also thank you to the judges, Flo Santini and Dennis Simmons, who was unable to make it today. So the third place winner was, let me see, Alexandria Phelan, who's working today, is unable to attend. The fourth place winner was Nicole Komarinsky. Second place is Robert Cowan. I'd like to have you come up and read your essay.
Go for it.
Veterans are extremely important to our nation's history and future. Without them, we would not be the nation we are today. We'd be oppressed by evil leaders if not for our veterans that have fought for our freedom. From the Civil War to the more recent Persian Gulf War, veterans have been there for us, sacrificing so that we could be free. My respect for veterans was instilled at an early age from my father. He was a veteran of the first Persian Gulf War and used to tell me stories about it when I was younger. Veterans not only keep us Americans free, they bring freedom and peace to warring nations. Throughout history, veterans have been there for us. In the very beginning, there was the American Revolution, in which a band of militiamen, not even knowing who or what they were fighting for, rose to the call of duty and made our country free, setting the stage for the greatest country of the world to be in. After that was the bloodiest war in American history, the Civil War. Brother fought against brother in a war in which over 600,000 lives were lost. Our Union soldiers fought to preserve the freedom of not only the average man, but the slaves as well, people they didn't even know they fought for. Our veterans today do the same thing, not because they have to, but because it is the right thing to do. In World War II, it was even more expounded. Fighting in jungles and mountains of unknown places, fighting an enemy that was not afraid to kill themselves if it meant killing an American, they never gave up. Even when it seemed hopeless after the tragedy at Pearl Harbor, they got up and kept fighting. After the first major win at the Battle of Midway, they refused to stop until they knew the freedom of American citizens would be preserved. The same goes for Vietnam. Even though there was strong opposition to the war on the home front, the soldiers continued to fight, even with ungrateful people at home. They didn't realize it, but the soldiers involved in Vietnam were doing it for more than to protect our citizens. They were attempting to free the Vietnamese who were being slaughtered by the Viet Cong. Now, with all the veterans coming back from the Middle East, this can be seen even more. Some come back with missing limbs, PTSD, or don't come home at all. They have given up everything, even their lives, just to make sure that the evils in the Middle East and around the world will not attack our nation. However, veterans don't hate all people they have fought. They understand that not everyone is evil, and some people just make mistakes. They are understanding and strong, even though they have so little left in them after seeing the horrors of war. They are a special type of people, those who can go and fight for millions of people they don't even know and will do so gladly. Those who will lay down their lives for a country and get back nothing in return. Nothing except the knowledge that they fight for something greater than themselves. They fight for all of us. Having veterans in our midst is truly a blessing. Having people around us that have fought for our freedom, that have sacrificed almost everything, is one of the greatest feelings in the world. Knowing that they are in our midst, faithfully living out the rest of their lives after fighting to death for a country they love so dearly is a comforting feeling. Veterans can give us insight to a different time, a time where the world was on edge in the midst of violent turmoils. People don't always give veterans respect, often calling them killers and madmen. This is not only extremely disrespectful, it is not true. Veterans have given up everything to make sure that our nation and the people in it are safe, even if they don't appreciate it. That takes a very special type of person, which is why veterans are so important to our history and to our people.
He receives a check from us for $150.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Allison Caselli came in first. Will you please come up and read yours?
When one thinks of a veteran, he or she might draw up a mental picture of an old man telling war stories to his grandchildren, or a group with a star-spangled float in a Veterans Day parade. The picture we should all have of veterans is a platoon of teenage boys rushing the beach in Normandy, or young men traveling through the jungle of Vietnam. We should think of veteran as experience and expertise and bravery. We remember veterans for their valiant actions and astounding faith in our country. One thing we all know for sure about history is that it repeats itself. We can learn so much from our veterans because they have fulfilled their duty as soldiers for our freedom, even when they were nothing more than 20-year-olds who were leaving their hometown for the first time. Veterans have gone above and beyond the duty of the average citizen. These brave men and women show us that we must always fight for our freedom. It is truly important that our generation learn from those of the past, and I have had the great honor of being able to do just that. I recently attended a program called Honor Flight, through which veterans were flown to visit the monuments of the freedom they worked so hard to preserve. 4 Honor Flight participants spoke to a group of students about the time they spent volunteering their service for our country. We were able to speak one-on-one to veterans about their lives. These men all described how young they were, how startling it was for boys who had just graduated high school to enter into armed forces. They spoke mostly about how badly they missed their families. They put their lives on hold to fight for each and every American. It was very clear that these men all had one similarity. They loved our country and would defend it at all costs. Having spoken with these men, I realized how proud I was to belong in this country. My own grandfather volunteered his time to the war effort by joining the Navy. I've always known that my grandfather was in the Navy, but it had never meant much to me. Clearly, this mindset, one shared by many of my generation, must change. If we learn to appreciate the incredible sacrifice of those before us, we may learn how to make our own. When I first read the prompt for this essay, I decided to find out exactly what a veteran is. What I found most interesting was the description of what a veteran is not. The only antonym listed for veteran is novice. This can only be seen as ironic. Each and every veteran was once just that, a novice. Someone who is unsure, untested, afraid of what was to come. When we look at a veteran, we should see not only the fine example of patriotism he or she represents, but also the novice he or she once was. Although it is clear that veterans are an incredible reminder of the past, we must always remember that they are just the same as we are, a novice with the potential to become something great.
She receives a check for $250. Our third place winner receives $100 and the fourth place $75. And plaque. Fourth place doesn't get a plaque, just the money, which is more important. We have to have enough incentive to keep the kids doing it. And money's the way to go. Okay, now I'd like to call upon the ladies auxiliary for the Patriot Pen. I'd like to thank John Pagano. Give him a good hand for all the legwork. He's the chairman of the DOD. Not an easy job, although the school makes it easier for us now. Now I'd like to call upon the ladies auxiliary for their presentation of Patriot Pen. I didn't go with the program because that's what I do.
This is why we love Roger. I'm Mary Ann Cullen, President of the Ladies Auxiliary. I'd first off like to start out by saying thank you to all the participants, the families that are here, the teachers that take their time, and above and beyond, at the last minute, our normal judges backed out. So I would like to thank Jim Hendry, Victoria Campbell, and Mr. Carl Du Bois for jumping in at the last minute and doing everything for us. Would you please stand? Scholarship Chairperson, who is also a member of our Ladies Auxiliary. We're very proud of her. She's got 100% in our district. She would like to say a few words. Dolores Shealy, and after that, we will bring up our local committee chairperson, Stephanie Mobley. Thank you.
Good afternoon, veterans, ladies and gentlemen and families. Today we're here to honor our youth, our future. But before we can do that, we have to honor our past and honor our today. Notice I recognized our veterans first in my greeting. Our veterans, please stand. I want to say thank you for your service. We have to guard carefully the gift in which your loyalty and sacrifice passed on to us. We have to be as true as those veterans were and are true. We should be loyal, selfless, and faithful to our country, as they were and are to this day. Again, I say thank you for your service. As Department of New York VFW Ladies Auxiliary Scholarship Chairperson, that's a mouthful, I want to be one of the first to offer my congratulations to your remarkable achievements. Your audios and essays have been selected from more than 314 entries for both Voice of Democracy and Patriot's Pen. By participating, you have identified yourself as a thoughtful, engaged, and patriotic American. As you are likely aware, our primary motivation is the passing on of the values that have made this nation great, and that we as veterans and families have come to cherish. Our hope is that as you have gone through these programs, you have recognized these values and passed them on to your generations and the next. You are our future. If you can understand the values that have made America great, perhaps you'll be able to keep her great. Through your leadership, our country will continue to move forward and reach even higher levels of accomplishments, achievement, and continued prosperity for the future. Again, congratulations. Wishing you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to have our local chairperson, Stephanie Mobley, start announcing. And as your name is called, if you will please come up and read your essay.
Boy, I'm a lot smaller than everybody else that's been up here. I'd like to start with the 7th grade winners. In 3rd place was Angelina Falsrusha.
Why I appreciate America's veterans. The reason why I appreciate America's veterans is they risk their precious lives to defend this country. Yes, some people might say, yes, some people might say,
Or not.
yes, some people might say, oh, they were just soldiers. Well, they're wrong. They went in as soldiers and came out as heroes. There are men and women every day fighting for our country. They have families, and they leave them behind just so we can be safe and have many freedoms. There are people just like us, but they have to be assigned to foreign countries and hunt down terrorists just so they may maintain peace. There will never be a moment without danger in their lives. They don't even get put in the newspaper or magazines. It seems as if our only families are the only ones that actually care. How come the movie stars are put in magazines and newspapers but not our brave veterans? I guess people that think that our movie stars are more important than the people that are fighting for our country right now. Just take a moment to realize what they have done for us. If we didn't have these brave people fighting for us, we would be in a country with no freedoms, a country that would be putting you in a prison for not cooperating. These men and women have to give their lives just to have peace in this country. Here is a quote to thank our country's veterans. A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, is someone who, at one point in his life, wrote a blank check that each payable to the United States of America for an amount of up to and including his life. That is honor. And there are way too many people in this country today who no longer understand that fact. Our country's veterans gave us the right to put up our flags with pride and the freedom to do so. Thank you very much for all the things you have done for us. From now on, when I see a veteran, I will salute them with respect. Again, thank you for putting your precious lives on the line for us, and have a great day.
On behalf of the Ladies Auxiliary, this is a plaque for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for participating. People like you, and they check for $25. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce the 7th grade 2nd place winner, Elizabeth Van Horn.
I like responsibility. And Elizabeth was very responsible. She said, Mr. Decker, I cannot go up and public speak. I said, how can somebody not public speak? It's come so naturally. but she was honest and said, listen, I just can't do it. Would you do it for me? So I said, well, you're going to come up here and stand with me, but I'm reading her words. All Americans should appreciate our veterans and the sacrifices they have made. A veteran is a person that has served in the military at some point of time. You don't need to have been in the military for a long time to be a veteran. One reason why I appreciate America's veterans is because they fought for our freedoms. Another reason is because I have had family members who served in the Army. First, I appreciate America's veterans because they fought for our freedoms. I chose this because without their fighting, I would not have the freedoms I have now. If I didn't have these freedoms I do now, I wouldn't be living the same way I do today. This shows that I'm thankful because now I have freedom of speech, the right to vote, freedom of religion, the right to equal justice, the right to bear arms, and many more. Veterans were brave enough to train, work, and fight for our rights and freedoms. Without the hard work they provided our country with, our daily lives would all be different. I have so much appreciation to the veterans who fought for our freedoms and rights. My appreciation for veterans not only comes from the freedoms that I have because of them, but from the same sense of pride I have for 3 veterans that are in my family. My grandfather was a PFC, Private First Class, with the U.S. Marines. He was assigned to the Artillery Division during the Korean War. He was a gunner for the 4.5 rockets. 2 great uncles of mine served in the Vietnam War. One fought in the front line. The other was behind the lines transporting supplies. Having family members who served during 2 different wars makes me appreciate what our veterans sacrificed for their loved ones at home. I have great respect for families who have had and who has relatives who are sacrificing their lives to protect my freedom. In conclusion, everyone should appreciate veterans because not only did they fight for our freedom, but they also sacrificed their lives for us. America's veterans make us as Americans very proud for who we are now today. The day the first person stepped foot on the soil of the United States of America, they didn't know how great our country would soon be. Every American should be proud to be an American. Great job. I get half of that, right?
I was just going to say, which do you want? On behalf of the auxiliary, there's a plaque and a check for $50, and we thank you very much.
Now the only problem is you started something. Next year, nobody's going to want to speak.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the 7th grade 1st place winner, Olivia Stansel.
Every day I wake up, get dressed, and make memories. My problems are school grades and drama. I don't have to live in fear, never have actually. And that's because of our American veterans that helped us give freedom. And that is why I appreciate our American veterans. I am overly grateful for our American veterans because they put everything on the line. Family, friends, for a bunch of people they hardly know. I appreciate American veterans because they gave me a chance. This is because it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't exist, including over half my family. Also, they gave me the right to have a choice. I get to have a choice of what I want to be when I grow up, what religion to practice, what my beliefs are, and being able to state my own opinion. American veterans saved us from being ruled and taken over by someone else's opinion. These veterans went through a lot of pain, agony, and suffering, and most people don't realize they did it willingly. They knew someone had to step up and save us, and that's exactly what they did. This shows that I appreciate our American veterans because I know a lot of people would not and will not join our Army. I admit that I will never go into the Army and never think about going to the Army. This is why I respect them so much. I get a chance. I have a chance of going to college, falling in love, making memories, and maybe even accomplishing my dream of being a writer. That's all because of our veterans. Furthermore, I even get a chance to achieve smaller victories, such as getting good grades, living life to the fullest, and having fun. Basically, what I'm trying to get across is we'd be nothing without them. We still could be under the British control, maybe even have concentration camps or slavery. But that's way behind us because of our heroes. I've had a thought about what life would be like if my dad went into the Army. I realized I would have a constant feeling of loneliness and not knowing whether I'd see him again. But I would know he did this for the greater good to protect us and now not only be my hero, but America's. This is why I appreciate our American veterans.
Olivia, congratulations, a plaque and $100. And I hope all you 7th graders will be back next year for the 8th grade.
Olivia's got to make a shout out to her grandmother for her birthday today.
Where's Grandma? Right here. Happy birthday!
The third place winner for the 8th grade is Todd Pfister.
Why I appreciate America's veterans. I love America's veterans because of what they did with their lives for me. They defended the country I love, the rights I cherish, and the freedoms I enjoy. Right off, I'd just like to say thank you to all those who gave their lives, great and humble veterans from past days, and those who still serve to protect us today. A few years ago, in 2001, there was the horrific incident which occurred on September 11th. I was only one, and I couldn't remember it, but I've heard stories about hundreds of people who lost their lives saving others. Civilian or soldiers, those who lost their lives or helped in the recovery are all veterans in my book. They stepped up and helped defend the country I love. One of the most precious rights that I cherish is that of education. A while back, there was another incident in Afghanistan involving a 15-year-old girl named Malala. She was fighting for her right to an education when 3 gunmen boarded her bus and shot her in the head. She survived, but when I heard this, I was shocked that she did not have the right of education. Then I realized that our veterans gave me that right by defending us from those who would take those rights from us. Yet another precious right is my right to speak. Voltaire once said, "I do not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it." I appreciate our veterans for defending the most precious of our rights. Finally, the freedoms I enjoy are all due to our amazing veterans. I have a Jewish friend, and a while back I went to his bar mitzvah. I was overjoyed that he and I weren't attacked or hurt because of us celebrating his religion. That's why I love my veterans, because of how they helped each other like a family, for defending my rights and protecting my freedoms, and just being there for my family, and my friends in the country.
Todd, congratulations, plaque, check for $25. Thank you.
Our second place 8th grade winner was Emma Cordell.